Nobody wants to be evicted, but sometimes it's unavoidable. Now, what do landlords and tenants need to know about eviction? I am Simon Dippenaar and I'm an attorney. It's rare that landlords want to evict tenants. A healthy landlord-tenant relationship is one where one party has a home to live in and the other enjoys an income from their assets. Unfortunately, sometimes a tenancy does not go smoothly and the property owner has to consider eviction. Now, eviction is an act of expelling someone from a property. However, a landlord may not actually remove a tenant. Only the sheriff can do that. A landlord must follow a specific procedure or risk breaking the law. Eviction is not the same as cancelling a lease. Either party may cancel the lease under the terms set out in the lease. A landlord may cancel a lease because the tenant is in breach of the rental agreement. Maybe they are in arrears with their rent or are using the property for purposes prohibited by the lease. In this case, the landlord must give the tenant notice of the breach in writing and a chance to rectify it within a specified amount of time. This time frame will either be determined by the lease or it will be 20 working days in accordance with the Consumer Protection Act if it applies. If the breach is not remedied within this time, the next step is a letter of cancellation served on the tenant by the landlord. This notice should include a date when the tenant must vacate the premises, but this is still not an eviction. If the tenant fails to vacate, the landlord is entitled to give notice of their intention to evict the tenant through the courts. They apply to court for an eviction order and the court issues the eviction order to the tenant and the municipality 14 days before the court hearing. At the hearing, the tenant has the right to put forward a defense. If the court considers the defense valid, a trial date is set. In the absence of a valid defense, a warrant of eviction is issued to the sheriff, giving authorization for them to remove the tenant's possessions from the premises. This is eviction. Even tenants in breach of their lease have rights. The Prevention of Illegal Eviction Acts provide for vulnerable people. If tenants are elderly, disabled, or women with young children, the court may give them extra time to vacate the property to enable them to find somewhere else that is suitable. Now, landlords may not shut off utilities, change the locks, or in any way make the property uninhabitable. These acts amount to constructive eviction, which is illegal in terms of the Rental Housing Act. If the eviction order is opposed, the case can take from 6 to 18 months. Even if the eviction is unopposed, the court will want to ensure the occupier has enough time to find alternative accommodation before it will allow the sheriff to enforce an eviction order, particularly in the case of vulnerable tenants. Now, tenants have a responsibility to restore the property to its original condition when they move out, and this includes removing personal property. However, tenants sometimes leave unwanted items behind. Now, the landlord has a duty to try to track down the tenant. They must be able to demonstrate that they tried in good faith to find the owner of the personal property. Now, avoiding disputes is much better than settling them. My advice to both landlords and tenants is this: have a robust lease agreement that covers all the terms and conditions of the rental. Carry out a property inspection together at the beginning of the tenancy and write down any defects and both sign it. And then communicate with each other. Landlords, if you need access to the property to carry out maintenance, advise your tenant in advance and agree to a convenient time. Don't let yourself in. Tenants, if you get into difficulties with your rent, talk to your landlord immediately. Negotiate a payment holiday or payment plan. Don't let arrears build up. With good communication and negotiation, most evictions can be avoided. If you're in the unfortunate position of needing to evict or being evicted, give me a call on the number in the signature below. I can help.